I would say how it really got started was I ran into Arthur at the Chinese American Museum when I was putting on or taking out an exhibit about my mother on Angel Island. It was an Angel Island exhibit. And Arthur happened to be there installing the next exhibit, which was Hollywood Chinese. And he had made some comment that that there were no Asian American male actor, or Chinese American male actors who had ever won the Oscar or even nominated. It's because Mako was Japanese; he was nominated, and Miyoshi Umeki won the Best Supporting Actress award for woman for Sayonara. And I said, well, actually, Dr. Haing S is Chinese Cambodian American, and you have his name spelled wrong in your exhibit. So, I'm a proofreader, right? So Arthur was very grateful that I caught the typo. And then I had planted the seed in his head, and because he hadn't included Dr. Ngor in the Chinese American documentary, then I was very delighted when he called me about 5 days or 5 weeks later, something about 5, and he said, I've been thinking about Dr. Ngor. I was not surprised at all. I just figured it was going to happen. Perhaps with your permission and your help, I would make my next documentary a solo documentary just on Dr. Ngor. And I said, I think that would be delighted. Let me get, let me run this by his niece Sophia, and I'm sure it'll be fine. We would be delighted. And what an honor it would be for Dr. Haing S. And that's how it began. By a typo, through a typo. Well, something I had never done before or thought about for anybody was when Dr. Ngor won the Oscar, 1985, for an 84 movie or 1984?
I'm still questioning that. Let's just
okay. But anyway, I somehow made a conscientious decision that I was not going to join in with my colleagues at APA, the Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA. I had at least 3 opportunities to line up and shake his hand and congratulate him with my colleagues in those organizations. I said I would rather not meet him on such a cursory basis to just shake his hand. I'm going to wait until I can really meet him and get to know him as a friend intimately. And just a few years later, I was on my way to Sri Lanka to make a movie called The Iron Triangle, and I asked the producer, Angela Shapiro. I know that Beau Bridges is starring in this, and Johnny Holliday from England is starring in it. Anyone else I might know? And she said, well, I think you would know Dr. Haing S. So being on location, that remote, there was nothing to do, so we really bonded. And we went to dinner. We took the rest of the cast and the crew almost every night. And whether they came or not, he and I had Chinese food at the Song restaurant every night in Kandy, Sri Lanka. But we really hit it off. So when we first met, I just waited for the cast and crew to meet him first, to greet him first. And then I just waited and I said, Dr. Ngor, my name is Jack Ong, and it is both my destiny and your karma that we would meet like this. He got so animated and excited. You have just said 2 of my favorite words, karma and destiny. Do you read real fast? I said, well, I did read a whole book on the plane. All right, you check in and don't go to your room yet. I'll be right back down. He comes running down the steps holding a brown paper wrapped parcel. And he says, I want you to read this first. And I want you to read it within 3 days because we're not working yet. I said, what is it? But I just kind of knew. So it was his autobiography. And he said, right now I already know. I wish I had met you before I write it. with his co-writer at the time. So that was flattering right there. And so I went to my room, needed to take a rest, and after a bit my phone rings and I thought maybe it was my family checking in from LA. Mr. Jack? I said, oh, hi Dr. Noor, it's just Jack. He goes, okay Jack, what means, and it was so cute, I just instantly started writing down, what means, ... question mark. I said, okay, go on Dr. Noor. What means bimbo? I said, oh, well, it's kind of like a derogatory but kind of fun expression to call a woman, usually a bimbo, who's not real bright. He says, okay, like a Dumbo? I said, kind of like a Dumbo, yeah, bimbo. I said, that's very good. And I guess if you wanted to call a man that, I guess we would call him a himbo. He laughed. I mean, he caught on. With the languages, he just caught on. Turns out he also spoke Mandarin, Cantonese, my dialect. He was very fluent in Toisanese. Whenever he visited my mom, he just made her feel so loved. So that was Haing Noor. Plus, he could remember his lines really, really well. And over his career, I had the great joy of acting kind of like his manager. He ran everything by me. I wrote his speeches, I wrote his letters, which I just didn't care. And most of the time, I didn't even know that his niece, Sophia, who was only 13 or 14 at the time, was downstairs in his Mercedes waiting. So one time, I had to go to my car, and I saw her sitting there. I said, who are you? And she said, I am Dr. Noor's niece. I said, well, I'm Jack Ong. And she's just immediately, oh, hello. And I said, come on up. She says, no, I don't want to bother you. So we didn't see each other too much, she and I. But as soon as he was murdered, she called and just started calling me Uncle Jack. And so we've been that close, like uncle and niece after that. She and I closed up his apartment. We had 2 weeks after his homicide to clear out his apartment. He just rented it in Chinatown on Beaudry. And so I said, okay, I'm ready for this. I just brought in like 30, 40 boxes. I started marking the boxes, labeling them. Killing Fields movie. And then publicity. Oscar. Before Killing Fields. Early years, family. So when it came time for Arthur Dong to make the documentary, everything was in place. I had archived all his possessions, some of his clothes, all his letters, and I had only misplaced one thing. And what I thought was a fan letter turned out to be it wasn't a fan letter. So that's the only error we made. And so it made Arthur's job going through all the archives much easier. And I believe I remember him saying that it was the easiest research he ever had to do for a documentary because of our archives. So that made me feel good. Well, Sophie and I, of course, we had to give the permission. So that makes us like producers, but I think our titles are associate producers or certainly, we were consultants. So a number of titles that way, but we just trusted Arthur inherently. I think he has great taste, and he's a masterful documentary filmmaker and a very nice person.
Now, how much input did you have, though? Did you get to look at pre-rough cuts or pre-final cut?
Yeah, well, I provided him most everything. He did go to Cambodia. He did other research, but pretty much what's in the documentary comes straight from the autobiography and the information Sophia and I and Dr. Noor's nephew, Wayne, we all went on camera for him, and we all sat and talked for as long as he wanted, provided as many answers to as many questions as he had. So I think our input was very helpful and significant.
Tell me about Wayne. I think Arthur uses his voice in the documentary.
Yes, And I think that was my suggestion too. I said, wouldn't it be something to have him narrating, reading your narration? And so Arthur thought about that, and he says, yeah, that really makes sense. And, Wayne has a slight accent, but he has managed to, he's very understandable.